Okay. My expertise includes identifying and targeting the right audience. That is, no matter whether you're staying in your location or you're expanding your clientele to other parts of the world, it is important to know who you're targeting and how you're going to give them the right information. Creating compelling messaging goes hand in hand with who it is that you're targeting, and then optimizing that conversion rate. What that means is we know who we're talking to. We found the proper language to speak to this individual. Now, how are we going to convert this individual into from a potential customer to a proper customer, and how are we going to optimize that? Implementing and analyzing marketing campaigns. Every business has different strategies and approaches and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. So having one marketing campaign is not a one size fit all. You might do one thing that worked a year ago and it may not work for you expanding into a different market in a different country now, or it might work while expanding it into a new country. But what we want to do is we want to analyze what marketing campaigns have been implemented and what results did we get. Leveraging data and analytics to make informed decision. Everything we do on a day-to-day basis on our business that has a website and attracts people to that website has to include analyzing that data and going over that data and figuring out, okay, well, if they come to the website and they took X and Y action, how am I going to leverage that to help grow my business even further? Or if I'm going to another market, how is this going to help me once I move into the new market? Staying up to date with the latest marketing trends and technologies. We work with multiple marketing agencies and associations around the globe. And there's so many different trends and technologies that takes few years to make its way to Canada. And we always want to learn about them. So we have an idea of how to implement that and when to implement that to help your business be ahead of everybody else. So how are we going to build your growth marketing strategy? So traditionally, marketing focuses on top funnel activities to attract potential customers and deliver that individual to a sales team that you have on your team. And then we will create a marketing funnel, and then we pass everybody through that. So that is traditionally how things are done. And then from there, what we usually do is we streamline your brand's vision to go into a particular market. Now, for the most part, what we do is when we go to a new market, we usually use social media, we attend events, we do some brand messaging, we do a little bit of a PR, and then based on that, we say, well, here we go. We're going to this market. Let's attend their trade shows, focus on the social media and let them know that we're going into this particular market. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is that many businesses use one of the four main international business strategies. So the first one is the international one, when the company has decided that they're going to be creating sales pipelines internationally for various products. Multi-domestic is when a company focuses in its local marketing strategy, to ensure that the products conform to the local standards and regulations of each of its target market. Global is when the company is mainly concerned with decreasing cost while improving efficiency and promoting their products. And they really don't care, and they kind of ignore the responsiveness to the local preferences. And then there's the transnational ones. And this type of global marketing strategy strikes a balance between multi-domestic and then global strategy. Now, this is just an explanation that we usually give from a book perspective, from the theoretical perspective of what a global marketing strategy is. Now let's dive deep into what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. No matter what market you go to, you have to always identify who you're going after, what's your target audience, who are your competitors, and your ideal clients. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing is you want to get as specific as possible and zero down on details like geographical scope, demographics, and purchase power. This is important because if you're going into, if you're selling, let's say, a winter jacket, and you think to yourself, well, I want to sell this in Vietnam, it may not work because why would they need this particular product? Or it might work in certain geographical locations and it could be a success. But then also in those geographical locations, is there any purchase power? And if there is, how are you going to play around with your pricing to meet that purchase power in that particular area? Who's going to be buying it? How old are they? What's their income level? What's their gender? What's their status in, do they have jobs? Are they parents? Are they renting a home? These factors makes a difference in that purchase power. You want to gather secondary data. This usually comes from any industry report or government research that's done for that particular area. So if you're planning to, even as little as I have an office and I have a business in Toronto, I want to expand and head up Ottawa, London, Windsor, or I want to go from Canada to US, from US, I want to expand to different states. You should look at as much information as you can gather for that industry in that particular state, province, or city that you're going into. What's the government research shows you for that particular area? Do your own research. And this is where, you need that firsthand information from your potential clients or partners. And we're going to talk a little bit about building partnership locally in that particular area so you can discover what your customers are really like from someone who is dealing with them. You want to analyze that data and identify the important patterns, trends, risks, and opportunities. And this is absolutely vital because we go into market knowing what our strengths are. Well, our strengths are fantastic, but what are the strengths of the market that we're going into? What opportunities can we take advantage of? What risks are there that we haven't thought about or did think about, but we didn't make it into a serious issue? And what are the patterns? Those patterns will help you advertise. It would help you promote yourself, or it could actually be a reason why you shouldn't be advertising. You also want to define your goals and strategies. And this is very important. No matter what you do as far as marketing is concerned, you always have to have your goals and strategies. And when you have your goals and strategies, this is part of your marketing plan. That allows you to understand how are we going to do the product development? What are my pricing like? What's my distribution looks like? And then what channels am I going to use to promote it? These are the areas, whether you're going to be using Google or Yahoo or Bing. If you're going to certain countries, their search engines are completely different than ours. Certain social media platforms are not accessible in a lot of countries. And if it is accessible, it's not even used as much. So you want to kind of know all of this information and have a goal in mind based on the research that you've done. So you know that this goal that you have, how are we going to achieve it? And what channels would work based on the markets that we're going into. You want to identify key pain points and opportunities. So once you have an idea of who your customer base in each market is going to be, you want to identify what are the key pain points that they're struggling with and how you can help. This is very important. And when we say what their struggle is, and you come in to help, just keep in mind that you are one of the many other companies that are coming in to help, whether locally or internationally or multi-domestic or transcontinental. However that is, you're not alone. So you're going to go in trying to help, but you have to see what your competitors are also offering as well. So here are some of the questions that you might help you understand this better. So what are the existing solutions that your new customers are currently using? How does your product and service compare to them, meaning the competitors that are in the area or people that are locally selling in that area? What are the gaps in the market that your products and services are going to fill? So if you're going to a new location, how is that going to work? This next one is very important. What are the unique cultural, economic, and social factors that may impact your target market's pain point, needs, and expectations? We oftentimes go into a market and we don't realize that there is a massive cultural difference and economic difference between where we are to where we're going. And understanding those cultural differences is a big deal. How can you position your products or services to provide relevant solution at the right time? Now, this also could mean, so we use the term social media, organic search, or Google Ads. There's a lot of locations around the world that Google Ads doesn't work. They have their own ad platforms. So this could work for North America and some parts of US, some part of Europe, but not for everybody. Also, the right timing is a big deal. There's certain items or products and services that are seasonal. So you want to make sure that you're going in at that right exact timing. And if you're not going, how much money are you going to put aside for advertising for those particular seasons that your products or services are going to be hot and more popular? Is there any particular ways all local competitors are addressing the target audience pain point? And are there alternative approaches you can experiment with? Understanding your local competitors should be one of the most important tasks that you complete before you go into a particular market. Now, your competitors, for the most part, you want to segment them into 3 sections. The ones that are brand new, the ones that have been around for a long time, and the ones that are known on a large national level. Because a lot of times you're still coming in new and you're still considered a foreigner in their market. So unless if you have the greatest of the greatest products and you've done a fantastic job positioning your products into their market and you've done a great job, it's gonna take a while before they can trust you and leave something that's local to them and want to get something that is a foreign product or service. So understand your competitors and put a lot of time and effort in getting to know your competitors. This is what I was talking about partners. So it's so important to build a network of partners and suppliers. So a strong network of partners is going to be the backbone of your successful business expansion wherever you're going. So your local contacts will give you the experience. Sorry, I just had to let somebody else in. Your local contacts will be invaluable expertise and knowledge of the market for you. I mean, think about it. If someone's coming into your area and they're brand new and they're from another country and they use you with your network and what you know and how you know things, you become an absolute one of the greatest assets to them. So it's the same concept when you go to a new market. You want to build partnerships. Now, you can also build relationships with suppliers in that area as well. But I think the most important thing is, and this kind of gives you a chance to test the market as well. So if you have a partner that is in a similar industry as you are, not necessarily build a partnership, or it could be some sort of a strategic partnership, but any sort of a partner that can shine a light on what's the next steps and what has worked for them and what would work for you, it will make a difference into the growth of your business. You want to create a global marketing strategy. Okay, so when you think about content marketing, you have to think global. So you want to plan how to localize your website and kind of reach your target audience. And this is very important because we recently built a website. Well, we already had a website that was selling gut-related supplements in Canada. We wanted to expand into the US market. We are using Shopify for this website. Well, it's very easy to set up a secondary market on Shopify and say, call it US, set the currency converter, and then the ads are, the site practically gets translated as far as the pricing is concerned to the US currency for the US clients to see it. But it's not just that. There's a lot of other pieces into that. In Canada, we have two languages, French and English. So the website, if you come in and you want to change your language, you can change it to French and English. In US, it's English and Spanish. And so you want to be able to give that opportunity for them to change that language to how they want. The prices in US are actually a lot lower than the prices in Canada. So just setting up a converter would not do. You have to go do the research and find out how much are the competitors in US are selling this particular product, and then come and change that price to come a lot lower, because you're going into a market that already has individuals that are selling this product. So you're brand new. You can't go and sell the exact same amount of one of your competitors. So you have to be a couple of dollars lower, or give some sort of an incentive to set you apart. So we had to do a little bit of a research before we went in and just added, a new market and just change the price and call it a day. You have to change the languages. You have to understand if there's any cultural differences that needs to be addressed on the website. That language piece is so important. You want to make sure that the language that you're using, it's not an AI that is translating it, or if you are going to be using an AI, that it's a very powerful AI. Hello? Okay. So you want to make sure that the AI that you're using is that is powerful enough, and it is accurate enough with the language piece. You want to have a chat bot set up on the website. And I have said this in the past, if you can set up a chat bot that's linked to your phone, and when the chat bot comes up, you get a message on your phone and you can talk to the person, do it. That keeps you connected to that user. And if they have a question, they can ask you right away, whether they're in Canada, US, Europe. That communication makes a difference between you and your end users. I mean, like, eventually when you grow to the point that you need to have a call center or, a chat center, that's a different story. But if you are able to set up a chat bot where they can talk to you, do it. There's tons of good AIs that have multilingual chat bots. And there's some really good ones if you're using Shopify that allows you to use their tool. And the language piece is quite precise with what the actual translation is. You want to consider social media content. However, I want you to be very careful with this one. Depending on what country you're going into, the social media platform they're using is different than the rest of the world, or it could be similar to countries around them, but it's not always the same. There's a rule of thumb that if anybody's over the age of 40 plus, they tend to use Facebook a lot more than Instagram. People from 18 to 40, they tend to use Instagram. Then there's TikTok, then there's Snapchat. Certain countries don't allow TikTok. It's banned. Certain countries don't, Snapchat is very dominated by the younger audience. So if you're going after the younger audience, Snapchat would work. But again, research which country you're going into or which region you're going into. And if the people in that area do use the exact social media platform you're going to use to advertise and market yourself. Okay. So just because you think you should be on TikTok and Snapchat and Facebook, that doesn't mean the rest of the world or your target audience are on that particular social media platform. So think it through, do your research, and also look at the competitors that you have for this market, for this particular product or services you're selling in the new market you're going to. See where they're advertising or promoting themselves the most, how frequently they post on social media, and which social media platform they use. And that's a good idea for you to kind of set yourself up and try to get yourself situated on social, and then create content. Once you create content, again, just remember the cultural differences. That's a big piece. If you have someone who speaks a different, that particular language in that particular market you're going to, please use them, and double check what they're saying just to make sure that everything sounds correct. And all of this is because this is your brand and you don't want anything to jeopardize your brand. You want to build your local presence. So once you define your strategy, it's time to build your local presence. So this might mean creating a physical presence or a local presence entity. Or it might simply means that you create an online presence for each local market. Whether you have a website and you translate it into a different language and you say now available in Canada, US, and Europe, or Bulgaria, wherever it is that you're going after, you want to build this presence. And this is not a simple process. What I would recommend is write it up and build a plan, build the wireframe as to what your website would look like. And I'll explain something. And I'll give you an example. We have a client who recently built their US version. We already had the Canadian version. We built the US version. And we realized that all the products that we put on the US version of the site are getting 0 hits. Well, all those products that we were selling, they're not popular in US. They're popular in Canada. So now we had to change the products that are popular and only put the ones that are popular in US on the US page. And how did we figure that out? We went through our sales section of our Shopify website and we looked at the US sales and we saw, well, wait a minute, all these products that we put on the homepage, they're top sellers in Canada. They're not top sellers in US. Top sellers in US are these products. So then we had to switch that and build that homepage based on our top sellers in US. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you're building your local presence online, build the wireframe. Look at your top sellers in if you have opened your market at any point into the secondary market. If you haven't, there's Google Trends is a fantastic tool for you to see what products and services are hot in which states. If you're going to US, same with Europe or Asia, you can get a lot of information from Google Trends. And you can get a lot of information in general from Google for what you're going to be selling, and then build that wireframe for your website, build the language that's going to go to every section of the website, and then build and translate every section, the content that you've created, get it approved by whoever that is an expert for that particular language, and then build your local presence online. So you got to launch localized marketing campaigns. Now, again, when we build a campaign, when we're ready to launch, we always have, I call it a launch party, but online. So we come up with a campaign. We say, well, we want to have a local Google ads. We want to have social media ads and content. Again, whichever country you go to, you have to see which search engine is actually more popular in that country. I was recently notified that Bing is a very popular platform in US, in certain states, and not in all states, but in certain states. So you have to figure out which platform you're going to use to advertise. So if it's a search engine and you're going to go after Bing or Yahoo or GoDuck or Google, that's fine. But we're going to have a plan for that. Then we're going to come up with a social media ad campaign strategy. Then we're going to localize the website on the content. And as I said, you want to make sure that you already have your target audience picked out, and you know who your target audience are on your website. And then we're going to go after them on social media and Google Ads to attract them to come back to the website. So creating marketing channels, I recommend anywhere between 2 to 3 marketing channels, okay? But every market is different. Every product, every location, it's different. So perfect example, we have a client who sells games, board games, and they are on social media. They're on Instagram and Facebook, which both make sense because the younger audience will buy from Instagram, and then the older audience, they will buy it off Facebook for their, kids and grandkids. So that's 2. And then they're on Amazon, and that's a marketing channel. It is a marketplace, but it's also a marketing channel. So we're like, okay, put that on the website as well, because you do sell on Amazon. And then they're also got preferred seller on Etsy. Well, Etsy is pretty popular in many countries around the world. So is Amazon. Okay, so let's put that as well. So now we're at 4. And then he's fantastically popular on Pinterest. So we're like, okay, let's add that. So there's, depending on what you're selling and what areas does make sense, what marketing channels make sense for you, you can go higher up than 2 to 3. I recommend 2 to 3 for companies or businesses that only have a very few products and only 1 or 2 does work for them. But if you think that you can promote it on multiple marketing channels and it works, go for it. Advertise it. The idea is that you want to diversify where people have seen your products and services so that you can set up remarketing for them. Remarketing is if I've seen this cup online and I've interacted with it, I clicked on it, I made it move around to see it, then I can continuously see this 5, 6, 7 times from different marketing channel ad campaigns you have set up till I make a decision to finally buy this. So it takes an individual anywhere between 5 to 7 times to see an item before they can make a decision if they want to buy that item. International SEO is super, 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 super important because what we usually do is we say, we translated the site, we translated the products, everything's good to go. We're ready. Well, what about the back end? You have to translate the back end, the metadata, the title tags, the descriptions. The URLs have to be in specific languages. You can't just have the URLs in English. If you're going into a Spanish market, the URLs have to be translated to Spanish as well. You also want to make sure that you have your herflang tags set up properly. So optimizing and doing the SEO from the back end in the multiple languages that you're going to build the site in is actually quite important as well. So you want to make sure that you are working with a company that has translators and content copywriters that understand multiple languages or have good connections that can build you the multiple languages, so you can have a really good website that looks fantastic from the eye of an online users. Also, search engines can bring them up faster for you as well. You want to analyze results and look for improvement opportunities. So, no, there's never been a time where we've ran a campaign or we've done, a marketing, set up a marketing strategy for a client, and then we're like, good luck, you guys did great, and we don't need to analyze the results. It has never happened. We analyze those results on a weekly basis. We'll go back and look at it and we see, what did we do wrong? What happened? Did we get clicks? Did we not get a click? Did we sell products? What do we need to do? Performance marketing is a strategy that increases more marketers, that increasingly more marketers are adopting to it. And in the way that it works is it optimizes your marketing efforts to boost conversion. So what that means is that we kind of look at your Google Analytics and your CRMs that you have set up, and we look at the marketing strategy we have. So let's say the marketing strategy was, we're moving into US, we're selling products on our US Shopify site. We translated the site to Spanish and it's already in English. And we're advertising it in on Instagram and on Facebook. and we're running Google ads. So that's our marketing strategy. Let's look at the analytics. Let's see how many people came from the Facebook ads and our Instagram ads. Then look at the Facebook ad manager and see how many traffic did we get, how many conversions we got, and what does that look like at the end of the day? How many products did we sell? When we sold a product, did we sell it in bundles or did we sell individuals? How often did we sell it? How much money did we spend on ads? How much money did we spend on creating content, translating, all of that? What was our budget and how much of it did we spend? And how much revenue did we generate from that? What does the ROI look like on this campaign? And that is extremely important, because if you're running a campaign and you don't look at the analytics, then you don't know what happened to the traffic. If you don't look at the back-end sales, then you don't know how many products you sold. So when we put all of that together, that gives us a clear vision of how much money we spent, what our ROI looked like, and was this campaign a successful campaign? Moving into US, did it work for us? Did we sell products? If we did, and we made some money, maybe we just broke even, a little bit more than just break even, do we want to add more advertising dollars to grow this further? Okay, so these are the opportunities that when you look at your analytics and you analyze them, or it's not just your Google Analytics. You should always look at your Google Analytics. You should look at your Shopify, if you have a Shopify site, your Shopify Analytics, your Facebook ad reports, your Instagram ad reports, any sort of a CRM you're using. If you're using HubSpot, Zoho, whatever you're using, always read the analytics. And that kind of breaks down, what did you do? Where are you going? How much money did you lose? How much money did you gain? And does this make sense to continue on for the next month, 2 months, 6 months, or a year? My apologies. Okay. So once we figure this piece out, the next piece would be to create a pipeline. So a pipeline is, we have a strategy. We know who we're going after. So we know that we're going after audiences to kind of turn them into qualified leads and customers. That's our plan. That's what we want to do. So now there's a lot of pieces into this. You know, you have to create that social media ad that pushes them to the landing page, and then they look at the landing page, and then they click on the landing page, they go and fill up the form, or they give you a call. Whatever that pipeline looks like, or however that looks like, it has to make sense for the end user. So it's user friendly, and it has to make sense for you from the setup perspective and tracking perspective. So you can actually track every bit of a move that they're making. And where this customers are churning from your pipeline is actually important as well. And then where are the losses? What are the bottlenecks? Where did we drop the client? Did they make it to the shopping cart? Did they not make it to shopping cart? So once you look at every angle on this pipeline, then you get the opportunity to create a qualified and well-optimized pipeline. What does the start looks like? What does the middle look like? What does loss means to you? What does a drop looks like to you? And then from there, what does sales look like to you? And if this client came back again as a user, how are we going to treat this client? Are we going to provide any sort of an incentive to this client because this client came back after the first time buying and they're going to buy more from us? So I have, it's very important for me to explain this to you guys, that it's important. Like, I don't believe in awareness, brand awareness. I believe in sales and money. I believe that it's a brand awareness is important, but anyone that visits your website or engaging your brand or social media or top funnel activities, it has to become a customer. It cannot be that we're just there to understand who you are, because that doesn't make money, and that when you don't make money, you fall apart. So we want to analyze that individual that has come in and looked at your website, paid attention to your social interacted with your website, went through your pipelines. We want to see what their performance are like. We want to analyze that so we can determine how many potential leads you're going to get. Leads are so vital to everybody's business. We want to take a look at the mid-tier leads. So these are individuals who engage with your brand. Perhaps they click on a link on your website, follow your social media, and find value in your content, but they haven't bought anything yet. So we want to pay attention to how many of these top funnel leads arrive on a stage of so how many of these come in and we can potentially push them into that pipeline that we wanted to create. So I want to pay attention to those. We want to examine the revenue that generates from different stages of your pipeline. So these are customers who are fully converted to close one, and they go beyond tracking revenue and customer numbers by comparing these KPIs with performances earlier. So these people, we want to make sure that we track their performances through the pipeline, because these are the guys that we're going to be retargeting and remarketing to. So that first one is they've come in and they've seen the site, they've engaged with your social, but they haven't bought anything. So let's analyze that. Then the mid people are like, no, they engaged with the website. They clicked on a few things here. They watched a video. They followed your social. They read a couple of blogs. Now they put a product on your shopping cart as well, and they're very close to checkout. What are we going to do with them? How are we going to push them to checkout? So if we push them to checkout and they got it, now how are we going to retarget to them to have them come back for more and more and more? Or how are we going to get them to send their friends and family to us so their friends and family can buy more from us? Leverage the right growth marketing techniques. Buyer personas is, so let's say you have this perfect client that you love the most. And this perfect client is of a certain age and they spend a certain amount of money, and they come back and they bring more clients and they refer people and you give them discounts. And let's say this is the perfect client that you have. When you go to a new market, it's important to use that person as your perfect buyer persona. So that customer, you have to put time and effort into understanding their needs, and more specifically, grasp what messaging will resonate with them. And then segment these customers of yours from your sales and marketing data through their demographic, what industry they work at, geographical location, and job title. And then determine the specific need and products and services will address this particular perfect client that the persona that you created, their needs. And then you want to create profiles for individual who looks like this. So this perfect client that I told you, and you built it based on your existing customer, build a profile around that. And then this is the individual that you're going to be targeting in the new market that you're going to. Quick second. Okay. So every product's onboarding process will be a little different. So here are some of the best practices. You want to set a goal of helping customers engage with your products at least twice in the first week. You want to keep lines of communications open. This is when have a chat bot on your website is vital. Send out emails. This is when you're trying to optimize the onboarding of this individual that's coming in as a customer, because we need a retention strategy, right? So we want to be able to sell, but we also want a retention strategy, and every product's retention strategy will be different. Every service retention strategy will be different. And we kind of want to have like the best churn solutions that we can use to optimize your process. You also want to introduce one feature at a time when you're selling products, because if you explain and not necessarily exaggerate, but over explain what the product is to a customer, that's just, you'll lose them right away, because they can only handle so much information. They can't be overwhelmed. So you want to avoid overwhelming your clients. Everything you do, set up an A/B testing. everything. So if you have 5 products you sell, set up, 4 products you sell, set up 2 A/B testing. Test one product versus the next one. If you want to say, I love selling this product to you in one, and then you also want to say, I love selling this product to you in French in another one, separate them. Set up A/B testing. This kind of gives us an idea of which one works better, right? So you want to do that. When you set up A/B testing, you set up A/B testing on your web pages. So if you have a page in French and then one in English, set them up. See which one does better. Same with email. Same with call to actions, articles, product packaging, social media posts, promotional images. When you set up A/B testing on every campaign you run, you get to test 2 different campaigns against each other and see which one performs better for you. So you want to make sure that's an option. Most common marketing mistakes when expanding into a new market are poor market fit. And this is when you fail to meet the needs and preferences of your target market with the products and services you're offering. This is when you don't do your due diligence and go out there and understand what is this exact buyer persona that you built, what do they want, and how will this help them, or would it even help them? And if you don't do that, then it's an absolute waste of your resources and investments. So you want to make sure that your target audience, again, before you launch your products, you want to research your market thoroughly and collect as much data as you can. You don't want to have a poor market fit. Poorly translated websites and marketing material. This is a big one. If you don't translate your website and marketing assets into local language, and that also includes any sort of a particular slang that's used in that particular market, you are harming your brand. Do not use translation tools that are not verified by proper translators, because sometimes they translate poorly, and then you put that on your website and it won't look ideal or proper. So how to avoid it? Choose the right translation method. Use the right translation softwares, and then proofread. Pay that extra money, get someone to proofread the website for you. Not taking care of that international SEO is a big problem. As I said, if you do the front end, you got to do the back end. You need the proper keywords. If you use the keyword local coffee, but you're moving into Vietnam or China, and that's not a language, that there's a language barrier. You want to make sure that you're using the keyword in the exact same language that the country that you're going to, or the market that you're going to. You want to make sure that the back end images are also you want to make sure that optimization, search engine optimization on the images of the back end of your website is completely done properly as well. Try not to take present everywhere. So how to avoid spreading your marketing strategies too thin. So what people usually do is they go out in the market and they're like, well, I want to go and write a blog. I'm going into the US market. I'm going to hire a blogger to write us a lot of blogs. We're going to post 5 days a week on social media. We're going to post on all social media platforms. We're going to go to Amazon. We're going to be on Etsy. We're going to be in US, but we're going to be on Amazon US and Canada, Etsy, Canada, and US. This is all tasks. These are all work. There's only 8 hours in a day. You won't be able to do all of that. And it costs money. So number one, if you have a budget for expanding into this particular market, you gotta that budget should match the tasks you're going to be doing. Anything above and beyond that, it might run you quite thin. So you don't want to put so much time and effort into something that is not planned out for. So how do you avoid that? Concentrate on 2 or 3 marketing channels to start with, and then do a blog. That's fine. You want to do a newsletter? That's great as well. Grow an international audience, but you need to have the email addresses. So you have to take that slowly, little by little, to gain email addresses. Do different social media channels, but pick 1, max 2. Don't exhaust yourself. And then pick something that's good for your target audience. Don't pick it because everybody in that country is picking it. If you're selling clothes that are, people on social are more likely to, on Instagram are more likely to buy it, then just pick Instagram. Not tracking results or not using the right metrics will be a problem. So check your check your tracking results religiously. So make sure that you're checking what's happening on your website, what's happening on your CRM. Make sure you're checking your Google Analytics, your Search Console. Search Console is a fantastic tool. It tells you what keywords you're coming up for certain parts of the world that you're setting up your market in. Define the KPIs, the key performance indicators that kind of matters to your business. If it's new users, if it's acquisition, if it's content, if it's conversion, pick them and then track them and see how they do. So Google Analytics, Google Search Console work, and then your customer relationship management tools, HubSpot, Zendesk, Salesforce. If you're using them, look at the tracking on all of it. For emails, MailChimp, Klaviyo, ActiveCampaign, every one of these are great. Use them. They're fantastic. If you are using social media, use the tracking for those as well. And that's about it. Did you guys have any questions? I can't see anybody. Well, then it's amazing. Okay. I'm going to send this out to everybody, plus the recording. Have yourself, no questions, more of a comment. What's your comment? Milena?
Yeah, hi. Basically, just for context, because I deal in localization.
Mhm.
So I think it's a huge challenge because the big boys, the whole algorithm that is set around the like the UK, Canada, whatever, the big markets.
Yeah.
And just for context, because I was in the process of being certified as an ed writer. Obviously, can't tell you where and who, like NDA, 40 pages of NDA can't tell you details. But bottom line, they give instructions. Like you get some rules, and then you go on a simulator, right? And you start doing the ad valuation. And then the logic of when the simulator predicts that there will be buyer behavior is completely off a lot of times. Like it would probably create lead to a purchase in the UK or the US or somewhere else, but not in our part of the world. And also, like, sometimes an exactly the same situation is treated in one of the tasks as like a high probability for purchase, and then in another task it's a low probability for purchase. So the whole way the rating systems of the big boys are structured, that's going to be a huge challenge to localize, because you want to go to a different market in Europe, let's say, but the algorithms are not European based.
Oh, that is a big, huge problem. That is a huge problem.
So it's just a huge challenge because obviously, you know the language well enough. You go through very rigorous language testing, right? Because the certification is done in English. And you're supposed to be doing the rate evaluations in your own language, in my case, Bulgarian. But bottom line, the very way it's structured, it's just not applicable. And we're not even beginning to dive into UX copy, like you would be translating the websites and whatnot, but the translator needs to be UX savvy.
100%.
Yeah, so this whole thing, and especially now with this surge of AI tools, because everybody's like, the new fashion, let's jump into AI. It just messed the whole thing up even worse, because the large language models, they're still not so good in languages that are not like the main languages, right? So it's just very, very challenging if you want to go international. You made some very good points about having the local guys participate and whatnot, but the gap is definitely very big. Like the algorithms of the big guys, because you want to get ranked, like you want to be ranked on Yahoo or on YouTube or on Google, wherever you want to get ranked, right? But the very process
100%.
of ranking, but the very process of ranking you It just the algorithms are off. So there's going to be a lot of disappointment if somebody tries to hit the market and it's like, what the bloody F, you know? It's just like, why is it not working? It's because the algorithms are not particularly fine-tuned yet.
That is fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually Googled you and I
All right.
added you on LinkedIn because I'm very interested in talking about this with you a little bit further.
Yeah, please.
Mainly because I have a
Yeah,
client who's growing a branch in Eastern Europe. We
yeah.
haven't figured out exactly what they're growing, but this is going to be a challenge. So I would love to chat with you further about this. I tried to add you on LinkedIn, so
Oh,
hopefully we can connect.
great. And also like the culture and context, especially with the other surge of like videos, you've got YouTube Shorts, you've got TikTok Reels, you've got, you know, whatever, you know, the video stuff. Fair enough, but what about the avatars? Because I was also participating in an event of an
Yeah,
avatar company, and we're talking, okay, here's the thing. For example, you need to be culturally savvy. In the avatar needs to perform as human-like as possible, right? So I tell him that, for example, in Bulgaria, we note the opposite way for yes and no. We, if you want to say yes, we nod side to side, not up and down, right? And it's just the other way around. So it's like, how would your avatar, you know, if the avatar wants to behave naturally and add some nods to the pronunciation and whatnot, you're gonna be nodding the other way around, you know, instead of saying, you know, nodding for a yes, you would be nodding for a no. And they were like, oh, really? And then I asked them about, well, what about like Eastern cultures where the degree of the bow matters, like how much you respect or how much society prescribes you need to bow. Like for example, if you're a woman bowing to a man, or if you're like a lower hierarchical employer and then you have a boss, you need to bow at a certain um, degree. You know, you
right.
bow. Yeah. So it's like, how do you account for that in the avatars? And they haven't even like I saw it was like a light bulb for them. It's like, oh wow, you know, that's something that needs to be considered. So it's language and culture simultaneously. It's not even because the avatar, you know, when a client wants the avatar, they would load the text. The text can get translated naturally, you know, would be proofread, whatever. But how about the cultural context of delivering that text? That also need to be taken into account. So I think it's going to be very, very challenging now because with localization, the frontliners are just utterly unprepared, like translators and whatnot. There's most translators, they're not technically savvy, you know?
I
So
understand. Yeah.
so that's going to be a huge challenge also because you want them to translate, but it also needs to fit into a certain parameters, right? And
100%.
to
And as I said, there's like slangs that we don't understand. There's, as you said, some people nod their head up and down, side to side. Some people just use or
yeah,
some sort of noise that they make. And again, a difference. You're 100% correct. Like we translate verb, noun, adjective in certain, like, so in Farsi it's different than it is in Turkish, than it
right,
is in
right.
Albanian. So absolutely, these are all this is why when you're working with and this is why I'm talking to a lot of the put these presentations out there for everybody, because if you're talking to certain people from other countries, this is all based on their cultural differences as well. Yes, depends on how you're speaking to an individual. Are you targeting elderly? How do you put that language together? Because each country may have a different way of speaking to an elderly, verbally or figuratively.
And let me just give you an example in terms of that, because, for example, in terms of TikTok, right? Because we're talking Gen Zs and whatnot. So a very huge hit here that got picked up. There's an agency called Digital Natives. They're like the top in TikTok. Their stuff is young, all the rest of it. So they do a spot where a guy takes a girl to a restaurant, and the girl is one of these like, let me use the man for whatever I can get. So she starts ordering 10 dishes, and the guy, you see his brain clicking, you know, mentally adding up the amount. Is like, oh, you know, what am I going to do? I don't have as much money. So they go, he calls a friend of his to call him, and he leaves the restaurant, leaving the lady there with all the food and having to pay for it herself. So they did that, and then it got picked up by a restaurant, shot it in a little bit better setting and whatnot, but the idea was the same, like that the guy ran away and left the girl there to pay for all the food that she had ordered. And that was a
Okay.
huge hit, and it brought a lot of clients. Now, if you do this somewhere in the West, it's going to be like, or God forbid, like Northern Europe, where they're so feminist, right? It's like, oh, this is so misogynistic. Like, how can he do that? Like the cultural context. If you show it in Western Europe, it's going to be like, why is he asking her out if he can't pay for the food? And then if you show it to somebody in like Sweden or that part of the world where they have a lot of feminists, they would be like, well, it's like, what's his problem? Of course, she's gonna pay half of the food, or she's gonna pay her own order. So you do want to attract customers. You do want to have ads working, but it has to be fitting on so many levels that it's just really, really challenging.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Thank you for this. This was fantastic. I would love to chat with you even further. You're a wealth of knowledge. But I gotta sign off because I have another meeting in like 5 minutes.
No
I'll
worries.
say everything to everybody. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Have yourself
Same
a
here.
wonderful day.
All right. And
Bye.
please get in touch over LinkedIn. We'll talk
I
more.
will for sure. Take care,
All right.
hon.
Yeah,
Okay,
bye.
bye. See you. Bye.